Hi dear children, welcome to English class. So hope you read the story which we have studied in the previous class, and we were studying about the story of the elves and the shoemaker. So let's see what happened after that. So you know the story already. It was a story of a poor shoemaker who had no money to buy sufficient leather for making the shoes, and they didn't have anything to eat, and they went to bed without eating anything. And when they got up in the next morning, they saw a pair of beautiful shoes on his workbench, isn't it? Then he was wondered who kept these beautiful pairs of shoes on his workbench. Then after selling those beautiful shoes, the shoemaker got some money and he bought sufficient leather for making the shoes. Then after that, what happened? So let's see what happened then. So let's read. So the shoemaker told, "I am so tired, I will stitch these in the morning." So he bought some leathers and made some shoes. Then after that he said that himself, "I am very tired and I will stitch these in the morning." In the morning he got a bigger surprise. On his bench were 4 pairs of shoes. We know the previous day when the shoemaker got up, he saw 2 pairs of shoes, isn't it? Then he sold those shoes and got money, and with that money again he bought some leather. Then that day after his work he went for sleeping, and he got up next day morning, and when he went to his workbench, it was a bigger surprise for him. Why it was a bigger surprise? Because he saw there were 4 pairs of shoes. Then the stitches were so beautiful and tiny, and those shoes had beautiful stitches and it was very tiny. Who could make shoes like this? He himself asked, "Who could make like this beautiful shoes?" asked his wife. People queued outside the shoemaker's house to buy the beautiful shoes. Soon they were all sold. The shoemaker went to the market and bought leather of different colors. So in the morning he got 4 pairs of beautiful shoes. Then his wife asked, "Who could make like this beautiful shoes?" Anyway, the people were standing outside his house for buying beautiful shoes, and he sold all those 4 pairs of shoes, and he got sufficient money. With that money, the shoemaker went to the market to buy leather. Then he bought different colors of leather with that money. He cut the leather and went to sleep. Then evening time he used to cut the leather and keep it there on the bench. Then after cutting the leather he went for sleeping. The next morning 6 pairs of colored shoes sat on the bench, and it was also a big surprise for him. And when he got up in the morning, he could see that there were 6 pairs of different colored shoes on his bench. The shoemaker's wife said, "We have to find out who is doing this. Let us hide in our workshop tonight." So his wife told to the shoemaker, "We have to find out who is doing like this for us. Let us hide in our workplace tonight and find out who is doing this." When the clock struck 12, 2 tiny elves in torn clothes climbed in through the window. So it was 12 o'clock midnight. That time the shoemaker and his wife saw 2 tiny elves. Elves means small magical creatures. So they can do some magical things. So like that, 2 magical creatures came with a torn dress. Torn clothes means all the clothes were torn here and there. It was not a good dress. So with that dress they came through the window. They were the size of the shoemaker's little finger. You know, little finger is very small, isn't it? So the elves were the size of the little finger of shoemaker. Imagine very small, they were very tiny and very small, but they have some magical power. So elves means the magical creatures, small magical creatures. See here you can see the picture of elves. They are very small and these elves were making shoes for the shoemaker. They sat on the workbench and worked all night. See, 12 o'clock midnight they came to shoemaker's workplace and they started working with the leather he cut and kept. They made 8 pairs of lovely shoes using brown, green and red leather. So we know that the shoemaker bought different colors of leather, isn't it? So with that different colors of leather, the elves made beautiful 8 pairs of shoes. Then they left. The shoemaker and his wife came out of their hiding place. So both of them, husband and wife, both of them were hiding in the workplace, and after the elves left the room, they also came out from the hiding place. The wife said, "I have never seen elves in my life." So his wife told, "I didn't see elves in my life. Their clothes are so thin and worn out." That means their clothes are very damaged clothes and it is no longer usable. That means it is not used again. So this is the first time I am seeing the elves and their clothes are very broken clothes, or it is very unusable. "I will stitch new clothes for them." She sewed tiny tights, coats and tiny boots for the elves. You see, after seeing the elves, the wife of shoemaker felt very sad, and she told, their clothes are very torn out clothes and it is no longer usable. I will stitch some clothes for them. Then she made for them some tights. Tights means like trouser. Okay. Then she made some coats. See, they wore the coats and also boots. So the wife of shoemaker sewed tiny tights, coats and tiny boots for the elves. The next night they hid again to watch the elves. Then that night, the next night also, the shoemaker and his wife hid in the room. The elves were delighted to find new clothes and shoes, and the elves were very happy or very grateful or very happy to see new clothes on the workbench. They put them on and danced around in joy. You can see the elves were putting new dress and they were taking the new dress and they were started dancing inside the room. They put them on and danced around in joy. They never returned to the shoemaker's house again. Then they got new dress. After getting that dress, they never returned shoemaker's home. The shoemaker started making shoes on his own after that day. See, already the shoemaker got sufficient money and all the shoes were sold out, and they found that the elves were making shoes for him, and his wife sewed some clothes for the elves. Then the elves took those clothes and went away. Then after that they did not come to his room. Then that day onwards the shoemaker started making shoes by his own. Then every night before he slept, he whispered a thank you to the elves. So that day onwards, before he went for sleeping, he used to whisper a thank you for elves. Whisper means spoke softly without making much noise speaking. So that's called spoke. So every night the shoemaker whispered a thank you to the elves. So this is the story. Hope you understood the story. You have to read the story many times. Okay. Then let's find the new words. So elves, E-L-V-E-S, elves. The name of our story is The Elves and the Shoemaker, isn't it? So what is elves? Elves means small magical creatures. You can see the picture of the elves. Okay, they are very small, very tiny. It is the size of the small finger of a shoemaker. So that such magical creatures are called elves. Then worn out. The clothes of elves were worn out. Worn out means it is no longer usable. It cannot be used again. So such a type of dress. Then delighted. Delighted means feeling or showing great pleasure. So when we get something, we will be very happy, isn't it? So that feeling is called delighted. Then whispered. Whispered means spoke very softly. Then there is an exercise related to the story. You have to number these events in the order in which they happened in the story. Here there are some events given in disorder. It is not in order. There is a box given along with the sentence. You have to number according to the event happened in the story. Here you see, when the clock struck 12, two tiny elves climbed in through the window. So it happened at the end of the story, isn't it? So in that way you have to read these events and write the number. That means the first one will be the shoemaker felt tired. So it will be 1. So like that you have to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that you have to put the number. Then during the live class we will discuss the correct order. Okay, so you have to read the story and find out the correct order and write in your textbook with the pencil. Then we can discuss during the live class. Then before answer these questions, why was the shoemaker surprised? This you have to write in your notebook. Answer is also given. The shoemaker was surprised because he found a pair of beautiful shoes on his workbench which he did not make. Because of this reason, the shoemaker surprised. Then second question, how did the shoemaker and his wife thank the elves? How they thanked elves? The wives sewed tiny tights, coats and tiny boots for the elves, and the shoemaker whispered a thank you to the elves every night before sleeping. So this is the answer of these questions. Then you have to learn some words. In speaking junction, please see page number 163. You have to learn 3 words. Which are those 3 words? Thank you, sorry and please. So where we have to use thank you? When you get some help from somebody, or when somebody gives you something, you have to say thank you to them. So you have to make a habit of saying thank you whenever you get help from someone or when you get something from somebody. Okay, remember to use thank you. Then the next word is sorry. So when you hurt somebody, you have to say sorry to them. So remember, you have to say sorry when you hurt someone or when you do some mischiefs to the others. When you do some mischiefs to others or when you hurt somebody, you have to say sorry to other people. Then if you want to get something from someone, you please use the word please. Okay, or when you want to ask permission from somebody, use the word please. So remember to use the word thank you, sorry and please in your life. So whenever you get something from someone or when somebody give you something, please say thank you. Or when you hurt someone or when you do some mischiefs to others, use the word sorry. And when you want to ask some permission or when you want to get something from somebody, use the term please. Okay, remember these things in your life. Then next is vocabulary junction. Vocabulary junction, you already studied countable nouns and uncountable nouns. So that we will be just learning now also. So she sewed tiny tights, coats and tiny boots for the elves. This is a sentence from the story. So here you see tights, coats and boots are countable nouns. So what are countable nouns? You know, the nouns that can be counted. So such nouns are called countable nouns. Here you see tights, coats and boots. These words we can count. How many are there we can count, isn't it? Then countable nouns can be singular or plural. It can be singular, it can be plural. You know what is singular and plural? Singular means it only one, plural means more than one, isn't it? Then also we have studied that before the countable nouns we have to use a or an, isn't it? Before the countable nouns. If a countable noun begins with the consonant sound, use a, and if the countable nouns begins with the vowel sound, use an. That also we have studied. Then another sentence you see, the shoemaker and his wife had warm soup with bread for supper. Warm soup with the bread for supper. So soup and bread are nouns that cannot be counted. They are called uncountable nouns. So the rules of using countable nouns and uncountable nouns, what are uncountable and countable nouns, we already studied in the previous classes. So this is just a repetition, and you know that we do not use a or an with the uncountable nouns, and we usually use some measuring words. Hope you are remembering the measuring words like a glass of, a bunch of, a bag of, a spoon of, a plate of. So such measuring words we are using before the uncountable nouns. We never use a or an before the uncountable nouns. So we cannot count uncountable nouns. Okay. So example, a bunch of leaves. A bunch of leaves. We cannot say 3 leaves or 4 leaves. It is a bunch of leaves. A mug of water. We don't know how many drops of water in a mug. So we used to say a mug of water, a bowl of soup, a pinch of salt, a teaspoon of sugar, a bag of sugar, a jug of orange juice, a glass of or a carton of milk, a slice of cake. So such words we are using to say about the uncountable nouns. So when we use the term uncountable nouns, we have to remember uncountable nouns means which we cannot count, and but before the uncountable nouns we can use some measuring words. And here you see some singular nouns occur in the plural form. So when we read, we feel that they are plurals. Actually they used as singulars. So such words we are going to study now. So here some singular nouns occur in the plural form. Here you see scissors. So we use scissors to cut the paper or clothes. So scissors, here when we see this s here, we feel that it's plural. Actually scissors means it's a singular word. Then trousers. It is not trouser. We used to say trousers. Then shoes. Then earrings, gloves, boots, shoes, dice. So these are some of the examples of words which used as singular nouns, but they occur in plural form. They are in the plural form, but we used as singular nouns. When we talk about these items, we add the words a pair of before them. We count them in pairs. So when we use these words means the nouns occur in plural form, but actually they are singular. So when we talk about these items like scissors, trousers, shoes, earrings, gloves, boots, shoes, dice, etc., we can use a word a pair of before them. We count them in pairs. 2 pair, 3 pair, 4 pairs, like that we can count. Otherwise we cannot count this one. Okay. The brown one is my favorite pair of trousers. The brown one is my favorite pair of trousers. So we know that the brown pair of trousers is his favorite one. I cannot find my pair of sunglasses. So we use the sunglasses to protect, to get protection from the sunlight, isn't it? So we can use before the sunglasses a pair of. I have only 2 pair of shorts. We can say instead of saying I have 2 shorts, instead of we can say I have only 2 pairs of shorts. Then here you have to read the you do the exercise. Read these sentences and underline the plural nouns treated as singular. So I have given you some examples like scissors, trousers, shorts, etc. So like that, from these given sentences, you have to find out and underline the plural nouns treated as singular. Okay, one or two examples I will do for you. Rita doesn't wear this pair of shorts because it doesn't fit her anymore. So here is a plural noun which is treated as singular. So examples we already seen. So the word shorts. The word shorts is a plural noun treated as singular. Then next sentence you see, we need a pair of dice and some counters to play this game. So the word dice is a plural noun treated as singular. Then Rohan got a new pair of trousers. So the word trousers is plural noun treated as singular. The last one please do by yourself. You have to find out the plural nouns treated as singular. Okay. Then next, complete these sentences using a pair of. Complete these sentences using a pair of. You have to use a pair of and complete the sentences. So first one, dash can be used to protect one's eyes from the sun. So what we use to get protection from the sun? Yes, we use sunglasses. So what we can write here? A pair of, P-A-I-R, pair of sunglasses, S-U-N-G-L-A-S-S-E-S, pair of sunglasses can be used to protect one's eyes from the sun. The next, dash is used by some people for reading. What do we use for reading? Glass, isn't it? Or specs. A pair of glass. A pair of glass is used by some people for reading. Then dash is worn on the feet. What we wear on the feet? Shoes, isn't it? So what we write here? A pair of shoes. A pair of shoes or socks we can write. A pair of shoes. S-H-O-E-S. A pair of shoes. Then dash is used to look things which are far away. For seeing the objects far away we use binoculars. So we can write a pair of binoculars. You know the two eyepieces in a binocular, isn't it? So a pair of binoculars. Hope you understood the uncountable nouns. A pair of, how to use a pair of. Then the homework, you have to write new words in the notebook and also answer the following in your notebook. Then you have to read the story 3 times. Okay, today's class is over. Thank you.